got a groovy kind of love. Hello, lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to see your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhyme for me? Do, feeling groovy. La da 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 la da da, feeling groovy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Feeling Groovy. Today, my friend Joan of Angels and I are going to do a show on, we're going to call it Hippieville, because I'm over it. I'm over it. No more negativity. We're going to celebrate today. We're going to celebrate the sunshine. Let the sunshine in. Remember all of that? We're going to revisit those days and bring them back to life. Right, Joan?
Absolutely. You're already singing my favorite songs. Slow down.
I got a bunch of them. Feeling groovy. Okay, let's go down that road. Now, you told me that you were, an official hippie. Not only were you an official hippie, we're talking San Francisco, which I see you have the Golden Gate Bridge behind you. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair. Did you wear flowers in your hair?
I did. I actually did. So, Cindy, when I graduated college a long time ago,
right,
I actually literally ran away from wherever I was, and I packed my bags and I went to the streets of San Francisco.
No kidding.
I'm not kidding, where I ended up getting a job in a hash pipe factory.
Oh my.
Where we made roach clips that we sent around the world.
What's a hash pipe factory? What's a roach clip? No, I know what they are. Okay.
Well, for those of you who might know, they don't even make roach clips anymore, and they're really convenient because they would hold people's little joints.
Right.
And we sent those around the world, not the joints, the roach clips. And the roach clips were big business, just so you know.
Oh, nice. Did you
put beads
on them?
They were very cute, and I learned to work in a factory, a punch press. But then they thought it was too dangerous for me because I was actually kind of an airhead. So they put me on the bookkeeping. But still, that's how I started.
Now, wait a minute.
I started my hippie life.
Hold the door. An airhead in bookkeeping? No. You were too smart. You were too smart, obviously.
Okay, I was too smart to do manual labor.
Okay, there you go.
I'll go with dangerous that. Because I would get out of my body. I just would forget to pay attention, and these were dangerous. These are actually, it was an actual factory, Cindy. That's the funny part.
Oh my
so you had to put your finger in here and pull it out. You know, you'd go boom, boom.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
Oh my gosh.
So thank God they moved me to the bookkeeping department. And just so you know, I have a Capricorn rising, and I do have a bookkeeper side. In fact, my mom years ago made me promise that I would be a bookkeeper.
Okay.
A bookkeeper or a teacher, but never an artist.
Okay. Well, I'm the artist, so there it is. Okay.
Well, so am I.
Exactly. So Joan actually paints angels and angel wings and all of that. Tell me what kind of clothes you used to wear. So you actually are very familiar with Haight-Ashbury?
Yes, actually, I do know Haight-Ashbury.
Okay.
Because when I lived not only did I work in that hash pipe factory, but my boyfriend, Clinton Shriver, related to Black Sheep of the Shriver family, was a street musician. Okay. So on weekends, we set up a little place. This was before the street sellers were licensed. So we were before the before. And he would get his place right by the cannery and the other one. There's two great places down there. And I would pass the hat around for him. And I set up a blanket, and I would not only pass the hat for him because he was a great musician, but I would make little jewelry and sell jewelry and on the
Isn't
weekend.
that
So
great?
I would say I was probably a quintessential hippie.
Okay. Well, tell me, or tell all of us, some of your adventures on Haight-Ashbury. What would be a typical day, for instance?
Well, the free clinic. Everyone seemed to go to the free clinic. And the first thing that I remembered was, popped in my head was, I had to go to the free clinic for
Right.
something. Well, it was a different kind of lifestyle because I hung out with musicians and artists. And the biggest conversation of the day, I think that's when the Vietnam War was still happening. So it was make love, not war. And there were many protests. We called them be-ins in those days. I
Okay.
heard Janis Joplin at the be-in years ago and Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks. So I had a lot of adventures. My boyfriend was a great musician and he loved Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks. And he decided that he was going to have a few of us singing as his backup singers. So I became, it was Clinton, the Clintets. I became a Clintet.
No kidding. Okay.
But I was very shy. I was so shy in those days that it was too painful for me to actually get up and sing in public. Now I could, even though I have a lousy voice. I don't have that same shyness. When I do my presentations, I'm a performer.
Right.
I'm a keynote speaker performer in a sense. So I'm over that, but I was so shy I couldn't do it. God knows I just couldn't do it.
Isn't that something? Yeah. So I was, during all of that time, I was kind of in my early teens. But I remembered the Haight-Ashbury, and my uncle actually had a office downtown in San Francisco. He's an eye doctor. And he would tell us stories about the kids in Haight-Ashbury, that kind of thing. So let's talk about peace, love, signs, the peace sign, all of that, understanding brotherhood. The one thing that was not good were these boys they were kids that were getting drafted, and they would go to Vietnam. And then when they would come home, because they didn't dodge the draft, it was pretty ugly what people would do. They would spit on them and call them baby killers and all of that other stuff. And I used to be with a man who had PTSD from Vietnam. And he told me about a 9-year-old boy who had a hand grenade ready to throw it on their boat. That's what they did. They used children as warfare there. That was pretty ugly. So now, when all of the war was going on in Afghanistan and all of that stuff over there, every time I would come into the Dallas airport, they had great big crowds there going, yay, and cheering them on. So sometimes I think that there was dark infiltration back there. Those boys needed to be loved and cared for. It was horrible what happened to them. But the idea of peace and love and brotherhood, that just feels good. It just feels good, doesn't it?
Well, it does feel good.
Yeah.
And the movements for peace, they do feel good, but sometimes they're covers for other things that are more difficult underneath. And so, I remember my last year in college, we protested against the Vietnam War, massive, massive protests.
Sure.
Kent State had just happened, so people had died.
Let's talk about that for the young people that are watching, about 10 soldiers and Nixon coming.
I don't know, you may even make me
cry.
Or
dead in Ohio. Yeah, that was a song about the 4 students that were killed by the National Guard?
By the National Guard. And so the country was being torn apart. Yes. And you had the hippies, and you had the freedom lovers, and which is so interesting because when we look at it, these were the liberals. These were the Democrats, these were the liberals, they were protesting for freedom. The children were, the college kids were. And I do think that these movements have been taken over. Well, first of all, they were destroyed by Nixon when he wanted to get the hippies off the street and made cannabis, marijuana illegal, and started arresting all of his political opponents. But I do think that under the guise of freedom and under the guise of peace, many in my generation were hijacked. We fell in love with the music and the trappings, but I'm not sure that that's a movement that is healthy, wealthy, and happy. We celebrated when women could finally vote. We celebrated when women could get abortions. We didn't think about killing children. We thought more about we can have sex and get pregnant and get away with it.
Exactly.
Okay, so it was a time, and I was young in those days, and so now I'm older and looking back. And it was a time of a disruption of all family values. When I look back on the 50s and 60s, we wore bobby socks, for Pete's sakes.
Right.
You had to come home. You had dinner with your family.
Exactly.
You did
10 o'clock curfews. Yeah.
You had curfews. We had Friday night dinner every Friday night. You had to be home for that. You had to be home for certain things. And there was more of and we knew each other's families. I mean, for Pete's sakes. The phone operator. Okay. We had those old fashioned phones, and you would pick up a phone and say, "May I speak to Cindy, please?" And then they say, "Oh, did you know Cindy's mom just got a cold? She's been sick." And
everybody knew everybody's business because of those party lines, right?
Everyone knew everyone's business. So things were just so different, and in a way better. You didn't have your cell phone distracting you wherever you went. You actually had conversations with people because you weren't online. You were, and I sometimes think, how did I live without a phone walking around with me that I could only talk to my friends for an hour at night? Like, what? Hard to imagine.
Or when you called your friends and they were talking to another friend, it was a busy signal.
Yes, you would get a busy signal. You couldn't leave a message.
Right.
You get busy signal. So, but things have been hijacked because there has been a deterioration, I think, in certain cultural values, family values, cultural family values, and somehow people have been shamed for that. So there's just been, to me, a whole disruption of life.
Right. And somehow, it happens slowly, Joan, which is, from what I understand, the way the enemy works. It doesn't come on you like, shoo. It's a slow, It's kind of like a serpent, just very slow and slick, and gets you into trusting them. And then when you don't agree with them, they say, "What's wrong with you?"
Oh, I have to tell you what happened last night, Cindy.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So first of all, I come from a family of very staunch Democrats from New York. Just so you know, Jewish New York is Democrats.
Okay.
Last night, I was talking to a dear friend, and she's on this side. I'm here. She's here. She said, "Oh my God, I think I'm moving more to the central, Joan, and it's really upsetting me. I'm really freaked out by it." Why? She said, "Because now I'm thinking everyone's saying you're like a Trumpite. What are you, a right winger?" And she says, "I'm beginning to feel like if I believe," she's had two major thoughts that are different. One of them is that she's beginning to think that maybe, abortion shouldn't be unlimited like it is. And she's feeling like maybe it should just be 6 weeks or, just a little time. And she said, this is not the party line. I feel like there's something wrong with me. I'm so ashamed of myself for having this belief. And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because it's a right-wing belief, because it means you're a Nazi, you're a racist." And I went, but you're not any of those things. You have a belief. You are now judging what you believe.
Or labeling yourself, right?
Because it's in a different category. I found myself so upset by the brainwashing programming that if you have a belief Now you have to put it in a category of which party it goes to. This is about abortion. This is about a woman's right, your right to choose. It's your thought. But people have been shamed to believing one way.
You're right. And that's what happens, because there's always some kind of justification. There's a goofy justification. My understanding of that word, I can't even say it. I hate the word so much. But my understanding of that word is from my own personal experience. Because
justification.
Right. My experience with that word was when I was 17, I showed up at the doctor's, and I was going to Catholic school, and I was 3 months pregnant. And the doctor at 17, it was 1972, and the doctor said, I can take care of this and your mom won't have to know. Well, in my head, I just kept hearing mommy. In my head, I could just hear mommy, mommy. And that voice got louder, and the doctor, all I saw was his mouth moving. I couldn't even hear him anymore because this other voice was screaming in my ear.
Right.
And so I just said, he said, should I just call your mother in here? He tried everything. He got mad at me. He started yelling at me because I was, and now my daughter is going to turn 50. And this year, and man, what I would have missed out on.
Right.
If I had listened to that stupid doctor. And so I have a lot of compassion for women who made that decision, because that it's all on us. When a woman gets pregnant, it's all on her. Ultimately, she will be the one who will probably be raising the child to the end. Right. And it's all on her. And then you're right. So I think that it's important. We've got to get back to the garden.
Yes. So well said. Yes.
We are stardust.
Yeah.
We are golden. We are billion-year-old carbon, and we've got to get back to the garden. And in the garden, it's abundance, it's children dancing, it's sunshine, it's health. That's the garden.
It is. It is. I so agree. It's each person living their full potential, each person contributing their best gifts, each person in their best health, living a lifestyle that supports tender loving care, families, dogs, a wellness principle. So yeah, we haven't had that in America for a long time.
But we can start right here, Joan.
Yes, we can. And we're going to have to.
Right here. And start having more conversation. I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Oh, are you Black? Oh, are you Mexican? Oh, are you Asian? Oh, are you?
I forgot to ask.
Oh, are you not like me? That's okay, because we're all humans. We're actually all spiritual beings having the human experience, and each one of us has a different form. And just because your form might not be like my form, it doesn't mean we cannot be friends. And who's telling us that we can't be friends? Oh, those guys. Wait a minute. Remember those cartoons where someone would start a fight, and then the guy who started the fight, they'd be fighting, and then the other one would just sit out there and watch the fight? That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And going back to your friend, your sweet friend who says, oh, I'm confused. I'm upset with myself because I don't. What do you mean you're confused?
Because my values are changing.
Because you don't fit in that box anymore. Congratulations.
Right?
You're getting free thought. And you're saying, when you get to the place, Joan, where you say, I don't care what you think.
Right.
I don't care what you think. Man, that is the most liberating thing you can do when you really don't care, because that's how you find your tribe. You find people who say, I love you anyway.
Right.
That's my tribe. You don't have to agree with me, but love me anyway.
Well, I have to say, it's hard not to love you, Cindy. It actually is hard not to love you. So I'm a northerner, a New Yorker. New Yorkers are type A, fast paced, like focused on what they're doing, moving. You have this way that's such a southern charm to me. That's unbelievable. I know you say you're raised in California, but you have a southern charm. That's amazing.
Well,
yeah, it's infectious. I kind of would like to have that southern charm.
Here we are. We're right here. It's I don't know that it's a southern charm. I think it's just a liberating attitude, because, as you know, I'm an entertainer.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm an entertainer, and if you're an entertainer, then you better be tough-skinned, because guess what? They're not all going to like you. And when they don't like you, they're going to make sure you know it. Okay.
Oh.
So because I've been an entertainer, when I let go of what people think of me, and you know how I did that? I'll tell you, when I completely got rid of judgment towards me. And God dog, it's so liberating, was when I went to Toastmasters. And that's how I met Victoria, kind of. She does, our friend Victoria Reynolds does Toastmasters, and I'm a DTM. I went all the way to the top, and she did too. But when you go to a Toastmasters meeting and you give a speech, you get evaluated. So that means somebody's going to get up and tell you everything and they have to find something that you can improve on. So I changed the word evaluation to suggestion, which means this is how I see it, right? And so the first time I got up to speak, after years of playing guitar for people and, big crowds, and the first time I got up to speak, I went, in my heart, I could feel it just like pounding out.
Oh my God, I remember that feeling.
And just because, why? Because I was going to be judged, and I knew I was going to be judged. And that turns on our fight, flight, right? When you have fear of judgment, look at how popular the doggone show Survivor is. What a sick show. Oh, you get kicked off the island, you don't survive. That's sick, man. That is, come on. How can you enjoy watching somebody feel bad and get hurt and get kicked off the island? Okay, so anyway, we have this flight, we have this flight fright thing going.
Well, but we are a traumatized society.
We
are a traumatized society. I do believe it. I think that there's been a lot of trauma that's been inflicted on the American people over the last 70 to 80 years, since the 50s.
They're messing with us. They're messing with us. And so when you've been evaluated that many times,
right?
and I would go, okay, I hear that condition, and I got really good feedback from people, because I'm a musician. I like to do this a lot. And apparently when I was speaking at first, I would just rock back and forth. And this gal got up and she said, I feel like I'm on a boat when I'm watching you speak. Anyway, but then one day a woman came up to me, and she was kind of cantankerous in my judgment, in my assessment of her, I'll put it that way. And she said, you smile too much. She said that. I said, you know what? I appreciate the suggestion, but I'm going to keep on smiling. I just am, because that's me. And then I realized that was her opinion, but it could only affect me if I let it affect me. That's hysterical. That came at me like a mud ball on a on a raincoat. It just slipped right off. And
I have to laugh. I have to laugh because you can't really smile unless you're a happy person.
That's right.
You can't really fake a smile.
So somebody told me I smiled too much. I thought, now this is silly. But other things, I took it in and I go, why did they say that? That kind of thing. But I would say that when you know you're going to be judged and you're getting up in front of people and you're going to be judged, that is a wonderful exercise in learning how to be free of other people's opinions.
Yes, I can imagine. Okay. And the same goes for a speaker. The same goes for an artist, the same goes for anyone who takes their precious thoughts and puts them out there for the world to see. Even on this, as a broadcaster, you're either going to love our shows or pass and go on to someone else. So it's all about resonance, like who has resonance, and we're going into the same places.
Well, I've learned that I actually started evaluating the audience, and
that's good.
Yeah, I started evaluating them, and I broke it down into 4 different groups. About 10 to 15% are doing this. What do you do with them? Love you anyway, but I'm not going to look at you. And then you have people that have these great big smiles on their face.
Right.
They're the ones I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at everybody.
Play to them.
Right. And actually, I found that that's actually probably at least 30% are smiling if you're smiling. Now, there's 2 other categories that I came up with.
Okay.
One is the equalizers. They want to make sure that you don't get the big head. They want to make sure
that you don't get too cocky, too confident, God forbid.
You're not better than me. And I know this person, you know this, well, I know this. And you have this and I have this. That's keeping up with the Joneses. Boop.
Okay.
No. And then the best group,
right,
are the people that don't say a word or react one way or the other. Because I call them the silent majority. The silent majority. And down the road, you just do your thing, and down the road they'll come to you and say, I saw you speak one time and you said this and that completely changed my life. And you've had that experience. And when
I love that experience.
When you said that, I just saw the world a whole different way. And that's what I want to do with these podcasts, Joan. Feeling groovy. Gang, you need to, when you're having a bad moment or something icky's going on, my first suggestion, of course, is crank up the music. Go find some songs you love and crank them up.
And dance.
And dance and remember a time. Pick the ones from high school. That was a time of our life when we were changing. We started getting our girly figures and we didn't have to worry about money. We didn't have to worry about mortgages or what, the kids' shoes for the kid, all that stuff. That was a time when we were free. We were free. And that's why that time is so important to reflect on. Baby boomers. Baby boomers, get with the program. Feeling groovy. We're not going to wallow in the muck and the yuck anymore. Just have common sense. Know that we love you anyway, whatever choices you have made. That's your life journey. That's your journey. Right. We're not going to judge you for anything. Just, did you learn something? Okay, but don't fight. And just because I don't agree with you, we can still be friends. So the powers that be would hate to hear what I'm saying right now, because people, they have learned that if they can keep everybody fighting, with each other and not loving each other unconditionally with agape love, they can control us. They can say something in our ear and say, you know what they said? Do you remember the mean girls or the people on the playground? You know what they said about you? You know what they said about you? And then they go to this person and say, you know what they said about you? What they said about you? Yeah. What? Let's go over there and let's all talk. How's that? What'd you say about me? Now I would do that. But in those, it's manipulation. It's people, and those people are so insecure in themselves. They're so sad. You have to give them compassion because only miserable people give people a bad time.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. Oh, and some people want to just stay miserable, Cindy. You know, when I had my practice, when I was actively practicing, there's a saying in chiropractic, 80% of your patients get great results. 10% are just so, and 10% will never, or just don't. And so rather than obsess over the 10% that don't get the results, because it's so upsetting, you want 100% of people to love you, adore you, and get the results. You know, but focusing on the 90% or the 80% kind of makes it easier to cope with all of it, I think. So that's how we did it in chiropractic.
Well,
the speaker, people are free to walk out if you don't like what we're doing. I thrive on live audiences, Cindy. I had a chance to speak in Sedona on the stage, and it was so fun. It was just the best. I try to get my Zoom audiences or my StreamYard audiences to cheer. You know, it's like, okay, let's all clap. Because I'm used to that physical.
Oh, yeah, I got you. And there's not many leaders, but you can be a leader. And that's what I've learned. The first rule of being a leader is remove your fear. Remove your fear. And the second rule of being a good leader is it's about them, not you.
Right.
Don't expect them to do something you're not willing to do yourself.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's being able to choose to accept being a leader. You know, not everyone is called to be a leader, but also not just overcoming the fear of it, but saying yes and realizing that you are that leader. I've had to deal with that with Joan of Angels. Okay.
Right.
It's one thing to be named Joan of Angels and someone named me, but to actually embrace the energy of her and to take on that big mission of bringing freedom to the world, being fearless, you know, in the face of not just adversity, but war.
Right.
You know, so that's been really, really interesting because we all have this leadership role within us. We all have this service we came here to do. And it's about having the courage to see it and do it.
So let's you and I get this feeling groovy thing started. We got two leaders, dun, da, 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 following the leader. Yeah, we're going to start here and join us. And if you want to be a leader, bring a friend. And then we'll make them a leader and bring another friend. And so that's what leading is. Just bring one, following the leader. And what we're going to do is we are headed towards Shangri-La. We are headed towards
where are we going higher yet?
The world we can have if we just all agree to have that kind of world. That world that they're trying to take away from us. No.
So you said something. If we could all agree. Yeah. You know, each of us is our own agreement set. And so I'm going to eliminate from my thinking that everyone else has to agree with me for this to happen.
Right. No.
Okay. My personal power is such that I can create that frequency field of manifesting these intentions in the new reality. Now, if you do that, then there's two of us doing that. And if now
Go on.
people out there join us, and there's 4 of us, 8 of us, 16 of us, and then there's 32
32
of us.
to 64.
And then if you bring more people to the play, then there's 64. And that's how we spread these miracles until we get to zero, all those zeros that make up 7.5 billion. I haven't figured out all the zeros.
Whatever it is, but we can all have it. All we need to do is respect each other, love each other, and share happiness. Don't dump your crap on people. You can figure it out. Go to the love place. We're here to help you, and we're here to love you. I used to have a spirit circle in Tennessee, Joan, and we'd meet every Tuesday and talk about, I would play a tape of Wayne Dyer or Stuart Wilde, these cool people.
I love them both.
Yeah, I love Stuart Wilde. Anyway, and then we'd discuss what we heard, that kind of thing. And we had this one person who was always going, "Yeah, I'm dying of cancer. I have a brain tumor." Well, she had that doggone brain tumor for 5 years. Okay. And she's still alive. What she was doing was sucking everybody's energy. It's called the victim. The self-esteem prophecy talks about that. Beware of victims.
Yeah.
And really beware of bullies who become victims. That is the classic one. The person who's bullying you, who all of a sudden blames you and says, "I'm the victim and you did this to me." No.
Well, they do blame you. Like, the reason I'm beating the crap out of you is because you said something and, you burned.
Look what you made me. Oh, yeah, I've been there.
You made me do this because.
You made me do this. Exactly. And
so, yes, we have many bullies, and we have many, we have people not speaking their truth. But I think the biggest thing is, just like my friend, she's now struggling with her beliefs are shifting, and she's judging herself for having beliefs that are contrary to her party or whatever. And I find this, awakening process is going to get more and more for people, that you're going to have to come to terms with what you believe in and how that works for you and how you see the planet, which has nothing to do with any political party. It has to do with you and your lifestyle and your ever-changing awakening.
Right. Well, people they get comfortable in their box.
But
it's a box.
We can define ourselves in that box, and my box is now going to go beat up your box because your box is a rectangle and mine is a square.
And so she's out of her comfort zone. Well, guess what? You're out of the box. That box is holding you back.
We have people who have authentic views on the planet that are not brainwashed.
Right.
So that's, the other thing, though, I will say this. Everything was the same in the 50s. We had sort of, we all wore these white socks. Like, there was a lot of, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of sort of similar sameness.
Uh-huh.
But there wasn't as much chaos as there is, because in the end, you still went home for dinner.
It was still more simple.
You had it a little bit more simple.
Right. It was more simple.
It was less complicated.
That life was more simple then.
But
has time rewritten every line. Yeah, that's what happens with me. I'm going to always go into song, gang.
I love that. I love that. And you have a delightful voice, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Much, much happiness. Yeah. And we didn't have an internet in those days. If you wanted to learn something, you actually had to go to the library.
Yeah.
Or buy a book. Go to an ancient bookstore and get used books that had true, and so it was much harder to find information about anything, really. So I think one of the most exciting things is that the internet has given us a chance to see what's going on around the world and learn all these new things.
It's really interesting. What just came to mind, I really liked Wayne Dyer. And one thing that he used to say was, we get so programmed, and we have to be aware, everyone, that these screens our phone screen, the television screen.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
been going on since media started. And in fact, even before that, because they have learned if you tell somebody enough times, they're going to believe it. And so they started way, way back when they saw how easy it was to manipulate with radio and big screens.
Right.
It started way, way back there. And I remember being little, remembering about Khrushchev. I remember that name, and that Russia was our enemy or something like that, and that they were communist country and all of this. I remember all that. And then I remember, then Wayne Dyer said, so we used to have that, and we go, okay, who are we supposed to hate now? Oh, we hated the Japanese, but now we don't hate the Japanese. Or we hated the Germans, now we don't hate it. What? Who are we supposed to hate, right? And he said, really, what little Russian granny do you hate? Bing. And I remember that so well, thinking, whoa. So if you hate something or somebody or a group or whatever, guess what? You are brainwashed. You are programmed, because hate is not natural. It's not natural. Love is our true essence. That's who you really are. When you hate other people that you've never met, what's that? I mean, think about it. Who told you to hate them? Who taught you to hate them?
And teaching you over and over and over and over and over again, day and night, in all the media, to hate, of course, is going to lead to that hate. Now, on the subject of Wayne Dyer, did I tell you I used to play tennis with him every Monday night?
You did.
Okay, good. And he taught me, really, he used to point out to me my victim consciousness, because I had a very controlling father, and I'd stand there trying to take the shot or the serve, and I would be one of those people that just hated myself for missing the serve. Okay, just like would sit there and just like tear myself apart. And
right.
Wayne, he had just written his new book on your erroneous zones.
Okay.
And he would apply that to me every time.
You're probably a good study for him.
I was a great tennis, right? My whole tennis playing philosophy: if I don't serve the ball, I'm going to hate myself. And then if I miss it, I'm going to keep hating myself. So that by the end of the night, I had no fun, because I thought everyone else was judging my tennis game.
Right.
The only one judging the game was me.
Right.
And I was making it miserable for everyone else.
Right.
Had no idea that my own self-deprecation was also so miserable for everyone around me.
Oh, so in closing here, let's talk about this feeling groovy. Do you like this hippie idea? Do you like?
Oh, okay. Next time, if I knew that was the theme, I'm going to wear my hippie soul T-shirt.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a hippie soul T-shirt. And yes, I love the hippie soul. My favorite songs happen to be Slow Down, You Move Too Fast.
Okay,
and all of those Paul Simon songs. Okay,
so what we're going to do, let's get Victoria. We'll have a little party. I'll bring my guitar, and we'll do a podcast. And I'll just pop out a line here and a line there. I won't sing the whole song. And we will start this energy, this musical energy of getting back to the garden. Okay,
we can get back to the garden is right. I would love that. Okay, so we're going to do the hippie soul. It's a morning show, I think.
Okay, we can do
in the morning, like we could be up there dancing. I'll dance for you. Heck, I used to watch those dance shows as a kid. Just always want to be in them.
Dick Clark,
Dick Clark, rock and roll. So I will say this: I am the quintessential hippie here. You're right behind me.
Okay.
Well, and Victoria is just an observer.
Okay. She's so precious. She's so precious. We were talking a little bit about music yesterday. She got all excited, and she got me excited because she got excited. And now you're excited. So now there's three of us. That's a good place.
There are three of us. I'm excited. I will wear my shirt, my soul-filled hippie soul shirt.
Oh, remember puka shells?
No.
You don't remember puka shells, the white puka shells?
Oh, those white puka shells. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
remember those?
you know, I had great bell bottoms, honey. They were blue bell bottoms.
I've got 4
Remember?
pair now. I do.
Yeah.
I have 4 pair. That Walmart was selling them a few months ago. I think they were trying to do a revival, and they were marked down to $5.
So my daughter was at the Coachella Fest. You know, it's huge music festivals here in Coachella. And I saw pictures of her years ago she looked just like I did. She was wearing, like, I swear, one of my old hippie outfits, the bell bottoms, you know, these vests.
The fringe and the band.
I guess the old hippie style goes to these concerts.
We can do this. Okay. I love you.
We can do this. Yes. I'll bring some jewelry to bead while we're talking.
Okay.
Okay. So I can, like, incorporate that.
Okay. And we'll smoke banana peels. No.
And we can smoke the banana peels. Yes. I totally agree on that.
Oh, anyway.
So that's another subject. Another subject. You know, I do talk about cannabis from a medical point of view and how to use it.
That's good, because you are a doctor, and we have to know that.
Your body.
Yeah, I love that.
I would definitely do a show with you if you wanted to know how normal people could get over their fear of cannabis and why they would want to, and how it's a miracle plant.
Okay. Next time.
And that's radical. I will not wear my hippie soul t-shirt for that. I'll wear my Dr. Joan look.
Okay. Okay. I love
my
you.
suit.
Thank you. Love you. And I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Cindy.